The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
They've all missed fights before. Anyway, I'm just going to stare at the TV for a minute. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills episode review. It can be weird when you start to become friendly with another friend's parent, or them with yours. Let's see how the Sentinels deal with that as I take a look at the 32nd episode of TTAF, Ozone O'Mio. Please make sure you're subscribed to my channel to see all of my videos. Ring the bell, get your notifications set up so you're notified whenever I post brand new videos. And if you're interested in lending any financial support to my channel, please consider checking me out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos. Right back to starting things off on Molecula, where Gorganis is explaining his latest plan. The Earth is protected from a lot of the sun's heat and radiation by a layer of gas called the ozone layer. He has summoned Slagar back from imprisonment, though did think to put him back in the action figure box because Gorganis always remembers to put away his toys. He says that Slagar isn't even going to have to fight the Galactic Sentinels this time. Just suck up the Earth's ozone layer and kill everyone on the planet.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
At the cafe, Swinton is trying to help Lori and Drew study for a science test, but they're really not picking up the material. He says they need to hurry this up since his dad is coming to take a look at his invention for the upcoming Young Inventors Fair. Gordon mentions that he wants to talk to his father since he went to Princeton and Gordon's trying to get admitted there, but Swinton says his dad is a very busy man. His dad then shows up complaining about a heat wave, and how he was just at City Hall trying to get a permit to expand his newspaper office. Swinton goes to get his dad something to drink, Lori and Drew getting up to get drinks of their own, leaving Gordon the chance to slide in and talk. He name drops that his mother is the mayor of Beverly Hills, and Mr. Stoyer says that he didn't even get the opportunity to speak with her. Gordon says that their family goes golfing every Saturday morning, and he can come along, getting a chance to discuss the permit with her directly. Swinton returns to the table after noticing how chummy the two are getting, asking if his dad is ready to look at his invention, but his beeper then summons him away. He confirms the golf time with Gordon, and Swinton says he can't go golfing, that's when the Young Inventors Fair is. But he just begs out, saying his mother can go with him instead. Gordon is his usual jerk self about it, saying, "That's just the way it is." Tattoo splash, off to see Nimbar. In the cave, Nimbar tells them about Slagar and that the monster is acting unusually since it's not outputting any toxic materials. He wants Apollo to gather some atmospheric samples while the other three Sentinels distract the monster by fighting it. Gordon teases Swinton about this, saying they can handle the fighting, and Swinton points out that he can fight just as well as any of them. There's clearly some bad blood brewing.
'Cause baby, now we got bad blood.
The three zap at the monster while Apollo corks a tube of air, but then dives at the monster. Slagar teleports away. On Molecula, Gorganis congratulates Slagar for following orders, saying the monster will now rest here and then return to Earth to finish its ozone meal. Hang on just a second. The way Gorganis said that, ozone meal, sounds a lot like the episode's title, Ozone O'Mio. Is that what happened with the episode's title? Okay, Ozone O'Mio is a pun. It's a takeoff on O Sole Mio, a Neapolitan song from the 1800s that basically means my sunshine, meaning that it's kind of the ancient Italian version of You Are My Sunshine, weirdly enough.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine.
But is that how they came up with the episode's title? That would imply that they were filming episodes before they even had the title finalized, and you know what, MPG, just go ahead and do it.
Get on with it!
This next part gets really confusing. The Sentinels return to the cave, and Nimbar berates Swinton for not following his orders. Swinton says he knew if he joined the fight that they could drive Slagar away. So, apparently, Swinton didn't get the sample. I mean, I thought it was a little ridiculous that all he had to do was put a cork in a bottle of air, but he tucks that bottle into his shoe. We saw that he did get the sample. All an atmospheric sample is a sample of the air. Anyway, Nimbar tells Swinton next time that he should follow the rules. Be more like Gordon, which just increases the resentment.
Now we got problems, and I don't think we can solve them.
Swinton shows up at Drew's house, surprising her and Lori because it's time for the Inventor's Fair. But it turns out that it's been postponed because the air conditioning unit broke. Weirdly, it just seems to be too hot. Okay, this is something I forgot to mention in the last paragraph, but even without the air sample that Swinton apparently didn't get, Nimbar is able to at least guess that Slagar is consuming the ozone. Anyway, Swinton is looking for Gordon because he and his dad have been together all day. I'm guessing that Swinton doesn't know how long a round of golf for 4 people can take. That's easily at least 3, if not 4 hours, not to mention getting changed, renting the cart, maybe having a meal at the 19th hole. Swinton feels insecure about Gordon and his dad spending so much time together, 1 entire day, because he knows he's not the ideal son for his father. Drew tells him that if he wants to spend more time with his dad, he needs to just suck it up and do the things that his father enjoys doing. Swinton takes this lesson 1 step too far, thinking that he needs to be just like Gordon. Tattoos flash, time to go see Nimbar again. Weird fight scene. The 3 Sentinels show up and have a good hand-to-hand fight, but Slagar basically slaps them around the battlefield. Slagar then leaves for absolutely no discernible reason. The Sentinels return to the cave and Nimbar says, and I quote here, "You have done well to drive Slagar off." Swinton even says that they could have driven him off even faster if Gordon had shown up.
You didn't do anything.
Didn't I?
The Sentinels did not land a single hit on Slagar. Not 1. They got pushed around and then Slagar left because the Kool-Aid Man is red. This makes no sense. Anyway, Nimbar tells them to stay ready and to find out what happened with Gordon.
Who knows? Not me. Who cares? Ditto mark.
Gordon and Mr. Sawyer head back to the cafe, Gordon trying to work his magic to get that recommendation letter. For anybody wondering why Gordon's going through so much trouble for this, yes, a recommendation letter from someone who attended the college can actually be a very important part of an admissions package. The others come in and say they need to talk to Gordon alone. He doesn't pick up the hint, and apparently neither did Mr. Sawyer, but Mrs. Sawyer did, beeping her husband to get him out of the scene. Gordon makes excuses about not showing up, the idea that he was playing golf in a foursome, and his disappearing would have led to a lot of questions. But Swinton calls him out on this. Gordon says that Swinton is just jealous of the relationship he's building with his dad, and the 2 of them nearly come to blows over it, as Swinton angrily tells Gordon to leave his dad alone and storms out. The next day, I guess, Gordon is reading a magazine at the cafe, and the girls follow him over to the couches. It would seem that find out what happened with Gordon has turned into keep Gordon under constant surveillance, which honestly seems a bit overkill. They've all missed fights before, and Gordon did have an explanation. It was more of an excuse, but it was still an explanation. There's kind of a squicky yet interesting moment where Gordon asks what they would do if he got up to go take a shower. Drew says she'd be repulsed, but Lori shoots her kind of a surprised look and then is laughing about it. Kind of guessing that Lori may not be so opposed to that idea.
What you gonna say?
Swinton and his dad walk in wearing golf garb, which really for Swinton just means that he's wearing a different hat. Apparently, Swinton lost control of his golf club, hitting his dad square in the head. I would say it's weird for Swinton to struggle with golf when he has such an intimate knowledge of physics, but nerds struggling with sports is a pretty common trope. Swinton says that, hey, maybe tomorrow they can watch a ball game on the TV. When Swinton's dad asks which one, Swinton says, you know, there's gotta be a ball game on some channel, some team playing with a ball, right? Funny enough, in present day, that's only just now becoming true again after the whole COVID thing. My favorite basketball team, the Miami Heat, was playing a playoff game as I wrote this script, and my favorite baseball team, the Miami Marlins, have a game tonight. Seeing as Swinton can't name a game off the top of his head, his dad quickly pieces together what's going on here, even putting together that this is all about him spending so much time with Gordon. Hearing his name, Gordon weasels his way on over, complimenting Mr. Sawyer's article on the heat wave and saying he hopes to write articles like that one day for the Daily Princeton. Even Mr. Sawyer seems to be growing annoyed with this as he points out that it's actually the Daily Princetonian. He gets beeped and goes to take the call, and Swinton angrily once again tells Gordon to stay out of their lives. They get beeped as well and head to the cave. Nimbar explains that they have to defeat Slagar this time. They can't just wound it and let it run away because it's already consumed enough ozone to impact life on Earth. So if it runs off to hide and they can't fight it until later...
Oh, game over! Gamma over!
They have to force Slagar to regurgitate the gas. They come up with 3 or 4 different terms for throwing up, which is made all the less funny when you consider that that is not the accurate term. They're trying to make the creature expel gas, that is either burping or farting, not throwing up. Swinton snarkily jokes that they can just feed Gordon to the monster, that'll make it throw up, and the two of them bicker a bit until Nimbar tells them to knock it off and get on their discs.
You made a really deep cut, and baby, now we got bad blood. Hey!
After showing up and jumping for absolutely no reason, Scorpio says to form Knightron. However, now the boys are apparently mad at each other. Gordon was never mad at Swinton, he just found it funny that Swinton was mad at him, so they refuse to. The girls get blasted, and in a single moment, instead of them getting prideful and saying, I can handle this, and attacking on their own, the boys realize that this is their fault, and they go form Knightron like they should.
That was easy.
Knightron must resent my comments about the most useless shield in the galaxy, as it gets a lot of use out of it this time. It shield bashes Slagar, and this somehow makes it burp up all of the ozone. Then it shield bashes the monster again, and we see Slagar fly backwards and hit against a rock for 8 seconds. The monster falls down, really just defeated by this, but Knightron still zaps it to be sure. This one gets another one of those wrap-ups that really doesn't resolve anything. Gordon congratulates Swinton, and likewise, for their efforts in the fight, and Nimbar says that the Earth's temperature is already returning to normal. I highly doubt you could absorb the entire ozone layer and then release it back in just one spot and have everything just return to normal, but I mean, hey, they're out of time. No, I mean it, the Sentinels run through the portal and...
Roll credits.
Episode 32, Ozone O'Mio. Pros, back to kind of a clever Gorganis plot. Swinton gets nice human drama, and Slagar is a cool name. Cons, Gordon is a weasel, the conflict between the two gets annoying, and total lack of resolution. I'm not even sure how much potential this one had to miss. Ozone O'Mio gets 2 signs out of 5. This was not Gorganis' best plan, to be sure, but at least it was a plan, unlike last time. It's kind of indirect, but that's the charm to it. Gorganis was hoping not to even have to deal with the Sentinels this time, just killing everyone on the planet. But if he has that idea, it does kind of beg the question of why he doesn't just send an entire army of giant monsters, or just wipe the planet out with lasers. I mean, listen, this isn't a great pro, okay? Last time I said that Drew was really the only one getting the human interest stories, and then we get one for Swinton. You can't really do a father and son story with Drew, besides the fact that she's a girl. She's also being raised by her aunt and doesn't really seem to have a father. And Swinton being the geeky nerd really does fit him to this kind of a story. I will say that Swinton's dad being a newspaper editor would imply that he's at least a little bit geeky himself. It was pretty interesting seeing Swinton try to find some common ground with his dad. And, Yeah, Slagar is a cool name. Totally Not 90s Dude asks me every single time I do one of these videos if Slagar is going to be the monster, because that name is, according to him, the coolest name ever! Dude, how can you not like Slagar? I'm not really sure the name matches the monster suit, to be honest. Slagar is just a big pile of walking toxic chemicals. It just sounds like a very 90s name. Wow, the pros were all really conditional and half-hearted this time. This is another episode where Gordon is just a slime ball. He totally ignores Swinton telling him to stay out of his dad's life. It's not that he was under any obligation to listen to that, but he just completely laughs off the fact that Swinton is upset and even makes fun of him for being jealous. He never once apologizes for it, and it's so clear from the word go that his only motivation is getting that college recommendation letter. And the fighting between these two might have been a little more interesting if it wasn't just more of the same. I know I said from the start, and even for a while after that it was interesting to me that these four heroes were not friends with each other, and I will admit that lately they've been acting a little more friendly to each other and only seem to fight for specific reasons. That being said, we are less than 10 episodes from the end of this show, and it still feels like any two of these four people can literally fist fight at the drop of a hat. It just really feels like Gordon and Swinton should have been able to discuss this more calmly from the beginning. And we have yet another episode where nothing is resolved at the end. It looked like Mr. Sawyer was starting to get annoyed with Gordon ingratiating himself, and Swinton was trying to change himself to fit his dad's expectations. And the two Sentinels were ready to fight each other over the whole thing. And nothing comes of it. There's no apology between the Sentinels, nothing more happens with Swinton's dad, the episode just ends. I immediately thought of a scene for the end of this episode that would have served as a resolution to the story and let them keep doing what they do with Gordon's character being a weasel. They return to the cafe and Mr. Sawyer walks in. He just got approved to expand the newspaper office, and in thanks to Gordon, gives him that recommendation letter to Princeton. He asks Gordon if they can play golf again next weekend, but oh man, Gordon's already invited the boss of some company that he can get a sweet internship at. Gordon has gotten what he needed from Mr. Sawyer. He doesn't need him anymore. Swinton walks up and says that he'll go golfing with his dad instead, but his dad says, no, let's go to your inventor's fair instead. It's a sweet ending for the two of them. Gordon is still a weasel, and there's resolution. But in the end, this is what we got. Just another episode. Reset button mashed so we can do it all again next time. I have to be honest with you, heroes. This show is starting to wear on me. And on you heroes too, if the comments on videos are to be believed. I find myself putting off working on these videos, which is actually bad timing because now I have more time off from work to work on them, and Beast Morphers is probably coming back in just under a month or so, and I still have 8 episodes of this show left to review, so time's wasting. But these episodes just blend into each other, and the plots are all the same, and the constant bickering, and it's just the same issues, and no. This is exactly what the Silver Skull wanted when he cursed me to review this show. He picked something that he didn't think I'd be able to finish. I'll show him. Let's take a peek at the 33rd episode of TTAF, The Glitch. Dude, seriously, how can you not like Slagar? It's got Slay and Gar, Slagar! Dude! While fighting Voldek, the power portal develops a malfunction, which sends the Galactic Sentinels to some very strange parallel universes where someone else is the mayor of Beverly Hills. Well, that certainly sounds different. Anyway, that's going to do it for another Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much, as always, for watching. In the comments below, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it. And while you're down there, please make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. Until next time, heroes, may the power portals protect you. Nimbar is able to at least guess that Slagar is consuming the ozone. The next day, I guess, Gordon is reading a magazine. He hopes to write articles like that one day for the Daily Princeton. Yeah. It's shield basses shit. It's shield basses. This one gets a lot of wrap up. Gordon congratulate. And it was interesting seeing the geeky Swinton do this take again. Seeing the geeky Sean do this take again, anyway. To quote him directly, the coolest name ever! He's actually over there. This show is starting to wear on me. And on you folks too, if the comments on videos are to be